Okay, so I wanted to cover a few things that were brought up in my last video. First, the bard's name is Modesty, not Melody. I always get that mixed up, and despite all the recording, editing, and drawing, I only noticed that I made that slip up after rewatching the video at least 5 times. Also, I didn't mention it in the last video, but after the fight between Kovach and Torak, Modesty ended up using sleep on Kovach so that the fight wouldn't get started up again. And after the session ended, we received a group text from the player that sounded like an underhanded threat towards the bard, saying something along the lines of, "Kovach is not going to react well to what Modesty did to him." This was what convinced the bard's player to join the shenanigans that night, since we thought this player was going to come after her next. Turns out, we misinterpreted that text and didn't learn till way later that he was referring to some backstory trauma that Kovach was suffering from. "This is why you shouldn't metagame between sessions!" That session was the peak of our internal conflict. Things have gone much smoother since then. Eilil is a much more interesting character, and his other PC, Heath, is a total dad in our Curse of Strahd campaign. Back to this situation, I want to emphasize the fact that Torak did not intend for Kovach to be killed. The plan was that the Warlock would be arrested under suspicion of murder, then Torak would swoop in with his big shot lawyer dad and save the day, and thus make the Warlock feel indebted to him, or at least acknowledge that the wizard had more under his belt than just spell slots. So, while Torak set everything in motion, it was actually Kovach who got himself executed. As I mentioned in the last video, even the DM said that he could have survived, but the Warlock chose to run away without any explanation. He just saw a single guard at his door and booked it without question. And also, he never once declared that he was innocent. He just ran, then accepted his fate, and died with some dramatic roleplay about reuniting with his dead family. That being said, some people claim that this whole series of events made Torak more chaotic evil instead of chaotic neutral, to which I disagree. First, alignments themselves are flawed. Everyone has their own definition of good and evil, and especially chaotic. I stand by the fact that Torak is chaotic neutral because he never intended to kill anyone. He was just trying to make a point that it had been a stupid move for Kovach to use magic on a much stronger character. So no, Torak did not kill Kovach over some annoying noises in his ear. And yes, I may have gone overboard with his reaction. That's on me as a player. However, I want to remind you that Torak and Red worked together once to convince a bandit to change his ways and become a hero so they wouldn't have to kill him. They also fought to return Goblin Jim's Ring of Intellect back to him while protecting the goblin from Alzahar's murderous rage when the paladin attempted to smite him into the next century just for being a goblin. In a cage. Because it wouldn't be the first time the paladin killed a defenseless goblin in a cage. To reference D&D 5e.info, chaotic evil creatures act with arbitrary violence spurred by their greed, hatred, or bloodlust, whereas chaotic neutral creatures follow their whims, holding their personal freedom above all else. Torak is the definition of chaotic stupid, always acting on a whim and not always thinking things through, like when he accidentally got John the cart driver killed when all he wanted was to steal the guy's cart. Go ahead and disagree with me if you want, but personally, I don't think you should be pigeonholed into a single alignment. We should be free to play our characters according to their personalities, which don't always fall into a single category. Anyways, that's all I had to say. As always, thanks for watching.